Hey dudes, this is Catherine Mary Stewart, Maggie in The Last Starfighter, and Reggie in Night of the Comet, and you're listening to Tommy Throwback Kovac in Splat from the Past. And remember, the whole burden of civilization has fallen upon us.
Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I will be welcoming, finally, a cast member of The Empire Strikes Back, Alan Austen. Alan was a stormtrooper. He was actually one of the stormtroopers that puts Han Solo in the freezing chamber in the movie. And I'm having him on the show today to talk about making that. He was in some damn great movies in those early years, of movies that were shot in England in the 80s. He was also in Flash Gordon, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Octopussy, and American Werewolf in London, some great movies. And it's going to be great to have him on the show today to talk about all that stuff. Also, too, I'd like to say happy birthday to my late grandmother. She would have been 100 years old. I had something tragic that I won't go into happen this weekend, and she turned it into a miracle. Thank you, Nana. I love you. So, here is my interview with Alan Austen. Hey, Alan, welcome to the show, sir. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you, Sully. How are you?
I am just spectacular. This is this is such a great honor. Thank you for taking the time today.
That's okay, no problem at all.
So, going back in time, was acting on your radar growing up in England?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, definitely. Just thought it was an impossibility, though. I come from a very working class London family. My father was a docker, in the vein of Marlon Brando in On the Waterfront.
Yeah.
Just like his father before him and his father before him. So it's a whole generation of London dockers. Very cockney, very working class family. And the story, I kind of like the story. I should put this into something, but I remember being a kid, at home, probably about 5 years old maybe, and I was watching a film called The Northwest Passage with Spencer Tracy, which we had an old black and white television. Nobody had colour televisions in those days. And it was years later that I realised the film would actually be made in colour, which was unusual for the late 1930s.
Right.
And so I'd seen the film. This was the first time I ever saw the film on the old black and white television. And for some reason, I was sat on the rug watching this film, that interesting. For some reason, my dad towered above me. He was a huge man, and said, "What are you going to do with yourself when you grow up?" And I just pointed at the TV screen and said, "That." Brought out laughing. And he said, "You're going to be Spencer Tracy when you grow up." I said, "Who's Spencer Tracy?" The guy in the film, the bloke in the film. And my dad thought it was hilarious, but it stuck with me. And I don't know why that thought came into my mind, but it just did. And so that was the lifelong ambition. But at times, it seemed impossible. I guess really for us London boys, we had the likes of Michael Caine and Terence Stamp to kind of prove to us that, listen, you London kids can do this, you Cockney working class kids can do this if you try hard enough. And so I suppose that's what kept me going, really.
Yeah, I did that too. I pointed to the TV when I was a kid when someone asked me what I wanted to do. So.
Yeah, they look like they're having fun.
Yeah.
And what? Pay for it?
Yeah.
Even though at 5 they actually got paid to do that. It just looked like a whole bunch of people having fun.
Yeah.
Playing cowboys.
Yeah, exactly. So did you start off doing school plays and then just work your way through it?
I did. Yeah, I kind of shone at primary school as an actor. Yeah, I did a school play, but I kind of shone in drama class at primary school. But and that was unusual for London in those days. It was usually something reserved more for secondary school. But by the time I went to secondary school, it just wasn't on the curriculum. It was very much a, very basic working class fodder school, basically, where none of you kids are going to get anywhere in life. All we're doing is going through the paces. We're taking you in at 11, we're kicking you out at 16. You'd have had no education, you might be able to read and write and do simple arithmetic, but that's about it. That's all we're expecting of you. And then you go off and join the army, or go and work in a factory, or go and work in a building site. That was it. So there was no drama school, drama at my secondary school. What I did was, I was pretty involved when I was about 16, 17 with a local amateur dramatic society. And, I went for some drama classes at Goldsmiths College in South London, New Cross, around there, which is actually nowadays it's a highly respected university, but I mean, the place has been around for years. But back then, I mean, we're talking 40 plus years ago, it had a good reputation for certain things, and the drama department was quite good actually. But I remember that one of the principals there saying to me when I was about 19, well, I would have been 19, listen son, if you can't get into RADA, this was a failed actor, this is a middle-aged guy, he was a failed actor. I was 19, and he said, look son, if you can't get into RADA, then you might as well give up. You'll never get ahead in that business. I never went to RADA. I didn't go to any formal drama school actually. Never went to a formal drama school. I just got coached. Just go to the actors. While I was acting, when I got the first jobs,
Yeah.
I thought, well, I want to stay in this business, so I better learn how to do it. So I went to the Actors Centre in Shady Street, as it was in those days. I think it's moved to Covent Garden now, but in those days it was in Shady Street, and it was for equity members. It was cheap classes, and the tutors in those classes were actually, a lot of them were stars of the day, very successful British actors of the day. That they'd be in between jobs, and they would go and give these classes at the Actors Centre, and it was very low cost. And that's kind of where I learned that, and doing theatre, and the whole mix really. You learn.
Yeah. Did you have any run-ins with any people who later went on to become successful actors?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Hugh Laurie was a friend back in those days, not close, but we worked together. We did a drama documentary called Letters from a Bomber Pilot, which was Hugh's first leading dramatic role on British TV. We were playing a bomber during World War II, and I played a guy called Alf Kitchen, who was the rear gunner. And we met on that, and we used to bump into each other in London a lot after that. And Hugh's career it just soared very quickly, actually.
Yeah.
Hugh Grant was a buddy. It's a casting buddy, I suppose, and sometimes a social dream. Bruce Payne, best known for Passenger 57, as the bad guy, English bad guy in that movie. But actually he did go to RADA, and I bumped into him while he was out jogging just outside of RADA. Bruce, Alan, how you doing? Oh, I was out for a jog, mate. How's it going at RADA? It's terrible. I hate it. What am I doing there?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't stand them. They're driving around the beach. What do? Well, he actually got picked up by Stephen Burkhoff to do a succession of plays, about London and set in London, called East and West. Stephen Burkoff cast Bruce in both those plays. And so he left rather about halfway through, left it, because you couldn't start drama school and be a working actor. It's a snobbery of it in those days. I think it's still the same, to be honest. So he left and he was glad to leave, and then I worked with him a few years later on a film called Absolute Beginners with David Bowie. And Bruce and I are not in touch anymore, as I'm not in touch with you either. So, but yeah, Craig Fairbrass. I've known Craig since he was 18 years of age. We ended up becoming neighbours. Craig is probably best known for a lot of British television, hell of a lot of British television. EastEnders here. It's the other thing I'm thinking with Helen Mirren, playing Helen Mirren's sidekick in a long-running British drama. But probably film-wise in America, Craig's best known for Cliffhanger.
Oh, yeah.
It was one of the British gang that were the villains in the film, and he takes a tumble off a mountain.
Yeah.
But, Craig and I are in touch very sporadically. Our lives have gone in different directions. But, yeah, I've known Craig since he was about 18. I guess I'm a couple of years older than him. So, anybody else I can think of that cracked it, as we say? One or two that did, that didn't. A friend of mine, Peter McNamara, that I worked with on Star Wars. He did very well in British television. Sadly, he died some 3 years ago. When he was my age, slightly younger, I think. But, anybody else that I can think of became big stars and think, oh gosh, why did I hang on to their shirts out? Not really. No, that was about it, really.
That's amazing, though, that you got to go to school with all those guys.
Yeah.
So how does The Empire Strikes Back come into your life?
Well, during this period of sort of being 18, 19, 20 years of age, I was, doing acting classes and doing some amateur dramatics and really convincing myself that I want to be in this business. And so I was applying to the Film Artists Association, which was the union for extras, film extras, basically. And, I kept on knocking on their door. No, go away, the books are closed. It's a closed shop union in any case. You kind of had to. It was a bit like my dad's union with Docks, the London Docks. That was a closed shop. You had to be a relative. By the time, cut a long story short, you had to be, a brother or firstborn son, something like that. The FIA was similar. But I just kept knocking on their door, and eventually I opened the door. And the reason being is there were a lot of big American movies coming to the UK. Was very, very cheap to shoot here.
Yeah.
Our special effects people were renowned for being, I won't say the best in the world. Okay, I'll say the best in the world. So, Star Wars had been shot here. Empire Strikes Back and the sequel was planned to be here. There were a few other films as well in the pipeline, and basically the union decided that we haven't got enough young blood. We need young men, young fit men, and women as well, to be able to run and jump about a bit. So, we need fresh blood for policemen, young policemen, soldiers, that kind of thing. So I opened the doors up for a while, a window of opportunity, and luckily I fell into that window of opportunity. So, yeah, I got my union card, and then it was a question of going down to Central Castings and registering with them, and basically went for the photo room. Or rather, what they did say was, call in every day, round about, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, between 4 and 6, that kind of thing. And for weeks I was phoning, no, nothing at the moment, not at the moment, and literally the phone would just go down abruptly on you, and that was it. And you're thinking, what the the hell am I doing here?
Yeah.
You know, but I had a job at the time. I had quite a decent job at the time, and I figured I could just go sit and take some time out to do a film for a couple of days if I was lucky enough to get one. And then, you know, one of those days, phoned in, Alan Austen, right, how old are you, Alan? Well, I'm 20. How tall are you? Well, I'm 5'11". Oh, can you be 5'10"? Yeah, I can be 5'10". Okay. L Street tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock, film called Empire Strikes Back. Oh, what's that all about? Phones down. Basically, that was so abrupt like that. Thousands of members to deal with, you know, fielding all these calls. That was it. So I had this call time for 6 a.m. at L Street Film Studios. A film called The Empire Strikes Back. I didn't know nothing about it whatsoever.
Wow.
So, yeah.
You never even seen the first one?
I hadn't actually. Star Wars was on my. I remember when it was released in '77.
Yeah.
I would have been 18. It was, you know, on my list to do. Of course, the theme tune was in the British charts at the time, and climbing up the charts. And I thought, yeah, I must get round to go and see this film. But I was more into sort of big mix of different movies. I wasn't particularly into science fiction at that time.
Yeah.
So I never got round to going to see it. So I hadn't seen Star Wars when I was actually working on The Empire Strikes Back. Obviously, I'd seen clips of it on TV. So, you know, I knew what a stormtrooper looked like. I had a sort of basic gist of the idea. So, you know, I got there with no knowledge of what this film was about, and was informed, you know, when I arrived there that this is the sequel to Star Wars. Oh, wow. Okay.
Wow. And you were one of the stormtroopers when Han Solo was in the freeze chamber.
That's correct. Yeah, myself and John Mogridge, who is a lifetime friend, we became very, very good friends after that. We worked on several other productions together. Kind of lost touch with each other in the late 80s into the 90s. But no, through the miracles of Star Wars and this whole convention scene and, the power of the internet, we've been back as mates again for about the past 3 years. And we both say it's like it never went away. You know, the first time we spoke after best part of 25 years at least, we said it was just like, it was 3 months ago that we last saw each other and spoke to each other. It's just, nothing had changed. And
Yeah.
that's the great thing. We're great buddies.
That's great. And then they asked you to come back to do some over-the-shoulder stuff for Harrison Ford.
They did. We kind of we started work on the film, which John and I did and a few others, in March of '79. And we worked mostly on that picture for the whole of the spring and the summer, with a few breaks, but not very long breaks. And so I was lucky to go off and do other things. But basically it was all over by about early August of '79. And John and I went off and worked on the Clash of the Titans in that period.
Oh.
And it's another classic movie. We didn't know any of this at the time. There was no way of telling that these would become classic films. We also worked on The Elephant Man during that period. Or slightly later in the year. Superman 2 was another classic that came along. But so I got this call out of the blue from Central Castings, and it was like, they never phoned you. You always phone Central Castings. They never phone you. And I got this call out of the blue. Alan, yeah. You're free at the moment, aren't you? I said, yeah, let's stay well with you. Yeah. I went up to anything. No, you're free at the moment. Can you go back on The Empire Strikes Back and do some lovely for Harrison Ford? I said, yeah, of course I can. But really, I was flabbergasted. And, they said, no, they think there's a little bit of a likeness between the two of you, apparent as Harrison and I have become much older. As the remarked on, that there is a likeness, which I couldn't see at the time. But they said, can you go back for a couple of days and just do, some dubbing for it? Because Harrison and everybody else had gone back to America by that time. And they just realised they needed to get a few inserts into it. So, I went back there and they dressed me up as Harrison or Han Solo. And I sat around on the soundstage while they were dismantling all the sets. So loads of noise and work going on. And, I just sat around in a chair on set, dressed as Han Solo, while they set up, things like keyboards and other bits and pieces. Yeah. And I just sat there drinking tea and reading the papers. And they'd just give me a shout when they needed me. Alan, we're ready for you now. And I'd walk over, do whatever they asked me to do, go back, sit down. It was fantastic. Easiest 2 days work I've ever had in my life, to be honest.
I bet it was, yeah. Did you have any interaction with George Lucas or Irvin Kershner?
Irvin, yes, to a certain extent. And that was only really about taking direction. Irvin, when you put the Stormtrooper helmet on, you couldn't tell which one was which. But yeah, there was some interaction about just taking direction, really what he needed you to do next. But no other interaction apart from that. George Lucas, no, he was on set a lot of the time. Basically, he'd say hi, we'd say hi, and that was it. So that was the only interaction I had with George Lucas.
Mm-hmm. That's good. At least he said hi to you. Yeah. And then you were the Mongo Man in Flash Gordon.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Well, basically, it's just a phone call from Central Castings or phone into Central Castings. Can you be at Shepperton tomorrow? Yeah. Film called Flash Gordon. Okay. Obviously, I remembered the comedy strip from years before, and I kind of had an idea of what Flash Gordon was going to be about, but not a science fiction film. Again, never guessing that it would become a cult classic film, which it is now, of course, has been for several years. And it's a film I still enjoy watching, definitely. Yeah. It was turned up there, and I was a bit disgruntled that they dressed this Mongo Man with a mask, because a couple of my friends were picked out to be Hawkmen. And, I'd been busy in the gym for about, at that point, for at least 3 years. I was a bit of an amateur boxer when I was a kid, and, I was in good shape. And I was like, I should be a Hawkman. What did you put me in this big clump in this mask for? It'll be much more glamorous. Except when it came to the end of the day and I all had to hit the showers to wash that makeup off, which could take a couple of hours at times.
Yeah. I talked to Melody Anderson. She's a great lady. And we just lost Max von Sydow. Did you get to interact with him?
I did. I had a rather nice chat with him on set once. He was a very, very nice man and friendly. And I don't really remember what we talked about very much, but I'd seen him in The Greatest Story Ever Told. He's playing Jesus, and I knew who he was, and I knew that he was a big name. But we just made a bit of small talk on set while you're just trying to get yourself comfortable. You're sitting down, waiting for the set up for the next shot, and we were in close proximity. We just had a bit of small talk, really. Nothing major, nothing special, no revelations. Mm-hmm. But it was all about, I guess, really, if anyone asked me, I think with background supporting artist. Don't like the word extra.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I really don't like that word. If in the script it says, and the Mongo man steps forward, or the stormtrooper steps forward, then you're not an extra. You're in the script. Therefore, extras are surplus to requirements. Now, you know, I've never really made any film where an extra was surplus to requirements. If they don't need you there, they're not going to pay you just to sit around and do nothing.
Yeah.
You are required, and if you're taking direction and you know you're described in the script, then you're not an extra. But supporting artist, I'll go with. Sometimes background artist, but never extra. It's a fallacy. So the way I put that down to those few years of doing supporting work in films as my learning ground. It's where I learned about screen acting, about film acting. They can't teach you that at drama school, not unless they've got, which I went to in Hanover, Germany, actually last year. It's a film school. It's not a drama school. It's a film school. I was invited to come along there. They've asked me to come back and do a talk when this idiot COVID virus is over.
Yeah.
But no, drama school, they're not geared up to teach you to act for the camera. They're not. They're just not. There's a little bit of it at the Actors Centre, but even that was totally improv. The only way you can learn how to act for the camera is to act for the camera. And a lot of actors that come out of RADA or other drama schools and think, oh no, I'd never do background work, I'd never be a supporting artist, oh no way, or extra. How the hell are they going to learn how to conduct themselves on a set, on a film or a television set, until they get cast? And then I've seen them. They haven't a clue. They've done stage work, etc.
Yeah.
But they don't know how. And so it's, Hugh Laurie, when we did Letters from the Apollo Pilot, because he'd never acted for the camera before.
Mm-hmm.
And we sat there and had a long chat about that. We did the read-through, and he came up to me and said, God, I was so nervous doing that. I said, you're fine, you're great. And then we came to, working with the camera, just bring it down. This is surgery with a this is laser surgery, just keep bringing it down. But yeah, so I guess that's where I learned how to conduct myself on a movie set, or on a TV set, and how to conduct myself around big stars.
Mm-hmm.
And my own experience has been, if you treat a big star like they're an ordinary person, they'll love you for it.
Oh yeah.
They really,
yeah. I've talked to many, and they like the way I talk to them.
Yeah, I mean, you're all working together. You're all being professional, whether you're a supporting artist or the lead name in the movie. You're all professionals. You're all working together. So treat it as so. Don't go asking for autographs. Don't go gushing. Don't go, it's just talk to people like they're ordinary people, because let's face it, they all were once before they became film stars.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, you play a soldier in Raiders of the Lost Ark. What scene particularly?
Well, I'm in the scene with the opening of the Ark. So, again at Hull Street. And, so, we're the German soldiers that all get obliterated when the Ark is actually open.
Oh, yeah.
That was a lot of fun to do.
Yeah, was that a difficult scene to do?
Well, I'll talk you through the story, because I've done Empire Strikes Back. Central Casting said, can you go to, they're doing a casting for this new film in Covent Garden, Raiders of the Lost Ark. So I went along to the casting, and I got there, and Ray Button, who was an assistant director on Empire, came up to me and said, hi, Alan. I said, oh, how are you doing, mate? How's it going? He said, look, he said, I'm not going to ask you to do anything for this. He said, because obviously we all did Empire together. And it's the same crew. Harrison's got the lead role. Steven Spielberg is directing it. All I could think of Steven Spielberg was from Jaws.
Yeah.
I didn't know him from anything else really. But he said, yeah, do you want to come and play? So I said, yeah, absolutely. So, got the call to be at Elstree again at the crack of dawn. And I've been working on a series of night calls for a British television production, cop drama. And so I've been working in North London for nights, doing nights. So, I suggest you just cross fingers that I can get away and drive across, North London to Elstree Studios isn't very far really, especially at that time of the morning and in those days when there was a lot less traffic on the road.
Yeah.
So I finished in time, I had enough time to get myself over to Elstree, about half an hour to kill. So I parked up in the studio. I thought, right, I can get my eyes closed for a few minutes, maybe drift off. I think I did actually drift off for about 10 or 15 minutes, and then it's like, roughly, I woke myself, my own internal body clock, I suppose, woke me up. And, got myself into the studio, got dressed as a German soldier, and then promptly went off somewhere quiet to sleep. I've been on a few film sets by this time and knew that, well, it's first thing in the morning, they're not going to be ready for us for hours yet. I'll find somewhere comfortable I can just doze off. And Ray Button came over and shook me awake. I woke up in the dark and he said, Alan, come, sort yourself out. I wanted to come and meet Steven Spielberg. I'm like, what? Are you kidding? I said, Ray, have you done this for a laugh?
Yeah.
Welcome. No, he said, come on, serious. He said, me and Harrison Ford will be, Stephen wants someone to line the shots up for these death scenes. And Harrison and I were standing there and, we both said, well, we know Alan, we know his work. He'll be fine. So I went over and met Steven Spielberg and shook hands. He then showed me the storyboard, which they had, over one wall that was kind of offset. Sort of makeshift wall they put up offset. So every shot and scene, the shot was down to detail. And he's going to. He said, "Well, this guy's you. This guy, this is what, this can show me what you can do." So I spent the next week in front of the camera while they lined up these shots, and Stevie was asking me to, show me how you do it. Show me how I do it. No, not like that. But you try something else and try something else. Yeah, that's okay. That's fine. He'll go with that. And so again, there was like the best part of the week of small talk with Stephen. While because these directors are very intense into their work. And
right.
You're not really going to get the opportunity to have an in-depth conversation. It's just like, why is they looking through the camera and they're lining me up and focus, they're getting the tape measure out, distance, and everything else. So just be like, literally just small talk. All you can do is, make small talk back, really. So you just kind of, get to gauge how far you're going to take this thing. But yeah, so that was kind of, that was the thing that really convinced me that I really should, have a go at this game. And Stephen was, when he offered to write me a letter of introduction to an agent, and he said, I'll just do a general letter of introduction so you can, when you go around seeing these agents. He never did. He never got around to it. Not his fault, just one of those things. But he offered, and I appreciate that. But it would have made a huge difference. But I did it anyway on my own, so what the hell.
Yeah, that was very nice of him, though, at least, he made the offer.
Yeah, I agree. It was a very nice gesture of him to do that, because there was no need for him to do that. But he did offer, and it's just one of those things. You're directing a big movie, as Bob Hoskins said, I met Bob once, not acting just met him at a function. Bob Hoskins, very down to earth, very funny, but he directed one movie, and I said, Bob, you're going to direct another movie, and he said, no, it's like being directing a film is being like pecked to death by 1,000 pigeons. Everybody wants you. Everybody wants you. He said, I'd never do it again, and he didn't.
Yeah.
So I can imagine that's how it was for Spielberg, and everybody else.
Yeah.
It's literally everybody wants a piece of you, and you're trying to make this, this classic masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
So it's difficult. So I'm not surprised it just slipped his mind. And I wasn't going to badge him.
Yeah. And then you played a policeman in American Werewolf in London, which is a genius movie.
Yeah, again, not mine. It's going to be a classic. No one telling you again. It was just, get yourself off to the circus at 7 o'clock in the evening or whatever it was. You're going to be a policeman. So that's what I did. And we had good nights up there, in Piccadilly Circus, not even beginning to film until the early hours of the morning, because obviously it's one hell of a busy place.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it was I was a gigging supporting artist. It was, this is how I was making my living, and it was saying yes to everything.
Yeah.
And once you get featured, sometimes you don't, and you just take chances. But by the time I did American Werewolf in London, I was working hard to get my equity card, which was, in the UK, you've got the Film Artists Association, which no longer exists, for films. But equity covered the whole gamut. Once you got into British Actors Equity, you could then go for TV parts, theatre parts, and film parts. And that was considered the Actors Union. So FAA, supporting artists, equity, the Actors Union. So I was working on, by the time I did, American Werewolf in London, I was doing bits and pieces that were hopefully going to get my equity card, which I did in September of 1982. Yeah. I don't remember actually which date it turned up, but it was September 1982. And I actually turned down a couple of films that year because I was doing theatre projects for contracts that would get that equity card.
Yeah. You did the James Bond movie Octopussy.
Yeah, that was, I can't remember the year that was.
That was 83.
Was it 83? Was it released in 83?
Yeah, it actually came out a couple of days after I was born. Yeah.
So I reckon it would have been 82 when we worked on that.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, I was an East German soldier or Russian soldier or whatever that was, just in the audience at the circus. But yeah, lots of my friends from the business. By this time I was well established and made lots of friends from various films, and there was quite a few of us on that, and we just had a good time, getting paid to socialise with your friends.
Mm-hmm. And what can you tell me about Absolute Beginners?
Absolute Beginners. Oh, that was by this time I'd done Letters from a Bomber Pilot on British TV.
Mm-hmm.
I'd done a couple of other things on Brit TV, and I had an agent. And I said to my agent, look, I'm going to do this film, Absolute Beginners. What? She said, what, you got a part? What? I said, no, I'm a supporting artist.
Yeah.
I said, you can't. You're an actor now. You're getting established. You can't. I said, look. She said, I didn't even know you were still with Central Castings. And I said, I'm not really. It's just they kind of phoned me for this one. So, all right, well, tell me more. So I said, well, look, a couple of my friends are in this. Bruce Crane, he's got a nice part in it. Stephen Burkhoff is in the movie. And I said, I've got to be quite frank with you. Apart from all my other buddies, I said, David Bowie. I said, I really want to meet David Bowie. And she said, look, I'm going to turn a blind eye to this. She said, but after this, you don't do any more films as a supporting artist. I said, okay, fair enough. So, went along to Shepperton, and we were summer of 85, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And we were doing day and night shots. So you'd do a day, then you'd go back the following evening, following night, then you get that day off, and just making sure that you were getting enough sleep. It was very well thought out, actually. And it was the happiest film I ever worked on in my life. It was such fun. There were most of my old buddies from the film business working on that I've known for like 6 years by this time.
Mm-hmm.
I said to the director, whose name's going to come to me in a minute,
Julian Temple.
Julian Temple.
Yeah.
It was a really nice guy. I got on really well with him. And you could see that I was friends with Bruce Payne and a couple of others. And Eddie Temple Tudor, I got on really well with on that movie. And people like Johnny Shannon, who was he was a bit of a TV star in the 60s, into the 70s as well, actually. I knew him through something else, but anyway. And I just said to Julian, look, I said, can you do me a massive favour, Julian? I said, I know I'm here to work. I'm not arguing that. I said, but can you not feature me in this film? And he looked at me and said, that's the first time anyone's ever said that to me. And I told him the story. So my agent's got the hub. I'm here. I'm making up the numbers. I'll do what you ask me to, but can you not feature me? And he said, okay, Alan, I understand. Yeah, we'll try and do that as much as possible. But it was a strange request. But I did get to meet David Bowie, and I did get to have a really nice conversation with him. David and I were born in a similar neck of the woods in London. And obviously I was a huge fan of Bowie's. And I was actually teaching drama to teenagers at the Beckenham Arts Centre, which David Bowie founded in the 1960s. He was the founder of it, before he was famous himself.
Yeah.
And I told him this, and he couldn't believe it. Really? Oh, it's so-and-so still there. Do you know? Well, we had a great conversation, really great conversation. And I like to think if we'd have had the internet and email and all that sort of stuff back in those days, that maybe David and I would have kept in touch, and that would have really made my life if that could have happened. But it didn't. So no, I did get this. So I came off of that film thinking, do you know what? I've had fun for about a month here with all my buddies, and I've got to meet, with Julian Temple now. I've got to meet David Bowie and have a conversation with him, and other people as well. This was bringing out the old school of British films.
Yeah.
Just doing cameos in this film. I mean, I know the film bombed, and I've only seen it once myself, and I enjoyed it, but it wasn't one of Bowie's best. But I'm just so glad I did it. But that was the last film that I did as a supporting artist, and from there on, the next film that I do, I've got to be a scripted character.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't do another film until a few years ago with this film, Sony at -10. But I kept busy in British television. TV commercials were very good for me. Corporate training films, training videos, corporate videos, that kind of thing. They were basically what kept me going. But I didn't do another film.
Wow. And did you leave acting for a while though?
I did. Yeah. I didn't like the changes that were going on. I had an apartment in Spain by this time, and I was going out there a lot. Also, I had a contract cleaning business, which we had a recession here in the early 90s, and there was an actors' strike both here and in America, which lasted the best part of the year. And my phone just wasn't ringing. And I thought, I've got to stop relying on the phone. I've got to get something of my own that I can have as my own. And if I can fit acting in with that, then that's fine. So I started with contract cleaning business with my younger brother. He sadly passed away 3 weeks ago, Steve.
Oh, I'm sorry, Alan.
That's the way it goes. Steve was he was a good writer. He's had several books published, most of them are on Amazon. I think he also did a bit of acting. But yeah, we started this business, and by the time I could see the big changes going on in the UK with the whole thing, this would be the early part of the century. And so, well, I've got my own business. I've got this flat in Spain. I'd realised by then, long before then, that I was never going to be a big star. I'm always going to be the guy that is standing behind me rather than wrong. That's kind of the realisation I had. Whereas in corporates, I'd have to lead in quite a few corporates and the lead in TV commercials and stuff like that. But I thought, no, when it comes to the big time, I'm the one standing behind the stuff. So, and I saw these changes going on with unions, and it wasn't looking good. And I just got fed up with it, to be quite honest. And so I pulled away from it and retrained and other things. And it wasn't until I got into this crazy but brilliant world of sci-fi convention, which I absolutely adore. That I'm at a convention, Sonic Flash Gordon and Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I met this young lady called Emma Dark, who's a filmmaker. And we got on very well. And she said, "Would you ever return to acting?" I said, "No, I'm retired now. I'm out of it." And then as she was leaving on the second day, I said, "Actually, Emma," I said, "if you've got anything suitable, you think that I might be suitable for?" I said, "There's no harm in giving me a shout." And then she called me up about 2 months later and said, "Look, I've shot this film for Sony Planets 10. It's all gone wrong. The lead actor is just not giving me a performance. And this guy's a very good actor. I don't know if he was going through bad times at that time, which can happen. But this film required a lot of acting. It really did. Every gamut of emotion."
Yeah.
So she actually said, "Look, would you audition for me?" So it's one of those things I thought, if I say no, I'll regret it. It's one thing I've learned in life. If you say yes, you can regret it later, but you usually end up regretting the things you say no to.
Right.
So I went along, did the audition, and we'll let you know. A couple of days later, I got the phone call. "Yeah, you got it. Do you want it?" "Yeah, fine. Okay, yeah." Keep saying yes. Let's do this. And it's done very well. It's done very well. And now I'm getting offered. I'm getting other offers now in the film movement in this country. So it's the short films at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be offered. Just nice to be offered.
Absolutely. Was there anything that you were going to do before the pandemic started?
Well, I luckily just completed one film called The Other Soul to Eden in February. I'm playing the father. My 2 children in the film are the leads, but they're grown-ups. They're an actor and an actress in their 20s, in their mid-20s. Both excellent, by the way. I'm blown away with their skill and talent. Really excellent. And I'm playing their dad. So yeah, there's a bit of a shouting match in one scene with the daughter, but I won't go into the plot line. It's not been released yet, but I thoroughly enjoyed doing that, and that was the first for me to play, the dad to two grown-ups, two adult children. And yeah, I've been offered the lead in two other films. When they can go ahead. Because nothing's going ahead at the moment.
Yeah.
It's all, I think, and I don't blame them, and I kind of feel the same way myself. Let's wait until things are back to normal, or at least as near to normal as we can get before doing something else. But I've got something else that looks interesting for the autumn of this year, again in England, which I've been sent the outline for, and I really like the look of that. Yeah, so I've said yes to that as well. So we'll see. Maybe when things, maybe I'm finding my niche as a, I'm 61 now. I'll be 62 at the end of this year. Maybe next year.
Yeah.
It's different. It started out at 20, and now at this age, it's just different stance on it. But as when we did Salient, as Philip Bloom was the cinematographer on that. He's got a fantastic reputation, absolutely brilliant reputation, and he just said you can see we've sailed along in this forest, breaking filming, and he just said you can see all of your years of experience working. He said it just shines out. So you never lose anything. I think it's like learning to swim or learning to ride a bike. Not do it for years, but you take to it just like it was yesterday. Certain skills like that just never losing. I think we're just lucky with acting for the cameras. It's never left me.
Yeah, that's great. Are you at least though worried about the future of conventions? Because I sure am.
I am. Yeah, this has been a bolt from the blue. To be honest, in the UK, there are some very good ones, but there are quite a few. I think the trouble is, you get people that like to attend conventions and go to them. They think I can set up my own convention, and with bad results actually. So I think it will weed out some of the mediocre or rubbish ones. I'm pretty sure that the big ones here will still keep going. And the same in Europe, and I think definitely America. I think America can weather just about any storm that's thrown at it, really. The place is so big, and the resilience of the people and the optimism of the American people, that I think it's going to. I don't think it's going to be dented very much in America. The UK, I think, will suffer badly. Europe, we'll see. I've been to Germany a few times, and the German conventions, all that I've been to, have been extremely good. I've not done much. I did one in Austria. It was fantastic, and it was their first ever convention. They were planning to do their second one this year. It's obviously on hold now. But I think it will come back. I think it's going to be one of those things. It's going to take time to build it back up again. This COVID with the team can't go on forever. There might be something else that comes along afterwards. I don't know. But I think it's definitely a problem. But I think if people are enthusiastic to do them, then I think they will continue.
Yeah, Days of the Dead happened this weekend in Indianapolis, and it came under fire quick because it was going on. About 12 out of 20 people that were signed on to do it showed up, and including 3 people I've interviewed, and it came under fire pretty fast. I mean, there was a lot of hate that went on Facebook about it and stuff. So we'll see about the future of that particular convention. But yeah, I hope it stays, and I sure hope I get to meet you.
I hope I get to meet you as well. I'm scheduled to come to LA in December for a convention, but we don't know who at the moment. I've not heard anything I've not been given any information so far. I mean, I was booked for it before this madness began. I don't know. We can't tell anything at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was going to say, do you know what convention that is in December?
yeah. Let's see. I'll probably look in the diary actually. Get the name of it. It's going to be LAX. Excuse me, I'm just fumbling through my diary and trying to find my glasses.
Okay.
It's kind of mid-December, but yeah, we go 11th of December through to 13th. That's going to be in LA. And what it's called? Oh, I can't remember now. This will be their second one. But the first one was last year. Peace Making was supposed to be the headliner. Unfortunately passed away, but they went ahead. And it worked. But with this COVID-19 and flights and everything else, we just don't know at the moment. I mean, they've just, the UK government were insisting that, anyone that went abroad and was coming back to the UK had to self-quarantine for 2 weeks. Now, they've dropped that one for certain countries. But they're keeping it in place with other countries, other European countries and countries around the world. And at the moment, I'm seeing that it's, it's a huge outbreak in the States. Some states worse than others, but, all we can do is just keep our fingers crossed. I mean, let's put it this way, I'm taking my chances, I'm big enough, ugly enough, and old enough to take them. Some people might say it's foolhardy, but this virus has put the boot in on my life this summer, and I'm not, me personally, I'm not prepared to put up with it much longer. If someone invites me and they'll fly me and I can get back, then I'll go.
Yeah. Well, Alan, like I said, I hope I get to meet you eventually at a con, and I'm so glad that you're hanging in there, staying optimistic about the whole thing and stuff. And I hope after all this craziness is over, you can return to the screen.
So do I. Well, at least to a convention, preferably both.
Yeah, preferably both. Well, Alan, I thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure.
Yes. You have yourself. Well, it's night over there, right?
Thank you very much. Yes, it's just gone 9 o'clock in the evening here, and it's still lights out. But I'll settle down with the film.
Okay. You have a great night over there.
Okay, you too, Tommy. All
okay.
the best.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, there you have it. Alan Austen. Ain't he a cool dude? Very nice man. Very well spoken too. And I'm glad that things are going great for him. And they will get even much better after the pandemic is over. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying there's no shame in living in the past because the present sucks. Later, dudes!